안녕하세요. My name is Francine Blume. I'm with Cultural Vistas for 1 month. But before coming to Cultural Vistas, I was with American University as the director of their internships for almost 15 years. And before that, I was working with a couple of other internship programs for about 6 or 7 years. So I have a very comfortable feeling about internships. And I really want to compliment you and commend you for being here, because there's nothing more exciting to me than an internship. An internship is an opportunity for you to learn and to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes and to go on and just really have a wonderful foundation for your future. So I thank you for your time and attention, and let's go ahead and start with our PowerPoint. Why do you think people intern? What's important about interning? I already told you a couple of things, but you're here. Why are you here? Why are you wanting to do internships? It's not a trick question.
We learn something which one we cannot experience in our college.
Yeah, to learn something, to gain more experience. Sure. What other reasons are you hoping to intern? Why are you hoping to intern?
Find the way where I want to work.
Yes. Yes, find out more about the opportunities for work. Find out more about yourself and what's a good fit for you. Let's see. Well, we have some thoughts. You take what you learned in school and apply it in real life, because real life is so different than when you're sitting with your books and talking theory. To take that theory into the real world is very different, very exciting. You want to also learn about American culture, right? Well, it's hard to learn about American culture if you're only reading about it in books, but to be here, to have other American friends and colleagues in the workplace is a fabulous way to experience American culture and really develop an understanding. You're also hoping to bring your culture to the United States. You're wonderful representatives of Korea. It's wonderful for us to be able to learn about you. So this is another reason I hope that you're interning. And you're wanting to integrate your learning, because when you learn, it's not just reading and memorizing, but there's a pedagogical process. There's a way to learn. Here we have reflective observation. That's when you sit back and you're watching something or you're reading something and you're thinking about it. And then abstract conceptualization. You're putting it together in your own head. You're starting to understand it. But then here, active experimentation, that's when you're playing with it, when you're trying it out. And that's what you're doing on your internship, along with having the concrete experience of really applying your knowledge. And without these other two parts, you're only learning half of what you can learn. So the internship is bringing your learning full circle. Now, why do you think the intern employers want you at their companies? It's not just because you're beautiful, okay? There's more to it. Why do you think they want you? You know, the employers are very excited to have you come. Why do you think that is?
They can hire us with a little bit.
Well, I don't think that's it, because it actually costs them quite a bit in their time, their attention. It's a little more altruistic than that. Yes.
Because we are from different backgrounds.
Yes.
Ideas, new ideas.
Absolutely. That's a really important reason. They want to learn more about you and your culture. Well, first of all, they want to give back to young professionals. Every one of those employers was in your situation. They were young, they were in school or just finished school, and they wanted an opportunity. This is their chance to give back to the next generation, and that's very important to them. And they like the idea of sharing cultures, diversity, being able to learn more about your culture, being able to share American culture. They like a fresh perspective. You're someone new from the outside. You're younger, you're from another place. You may be able to look at something differently and have a new idea, and that's very exciting. Now, what do you know about internships in the United States? Do you have any idea how many students in the United States do internships? Want to guess? I would say there's a free dinner in it, but I'm afraid there's not. There's no prize other than a round of applause. How many American students do you think? What percentage do internships?
10%?
10%? It's 20%?
30,
30?
60?
60?
70.
Oh. 80% of American college students have at least one internship, and many have more. It's the way that employers take you seriously. If you have experience, then they're interested in you. If you don't have experience, it's like test driving a car that has never been driven before. They're a little afraid. So if you've had an internship, good. You know about work culture, you understand what's expected, and I think that's going to, if it hasn't already, expand to the global marketplace. Okay, internships are very competitive in the United States. American students apply for internships and many times they're turned down. They have to compete with other students, so they need to think about internships broadly. But it's really essential to getting that first job, and students who've had internships also are paid more on their first job than students who have not had internships. So they find their jobs faster and they're paid a better salary. Okay. Then the important thing for American students and for you as well is to focus on the content of the internship and not just the name of the company. Okay? Let's see if I have that here. Not yet. Let me go back. Okay, so you think about a big name company. What do you think about when you think about television news? Who's the biggest name you can think of? CNN. What do you think about internships at CNN? You don't know much, do you, about CNN? It's very big. Do you think everybody wants to intern there? Yeah, probably. So do you think they necessarily feel altruistic? They want to develop a lot of really interesting internships? They can't really handle that because there's so much demand. So what they have is job shadowing, which is you can come watch me work, but you're not going to get a chance to actually work. And you can watch here and here and here and here, but not in one place, not in depth. So CNN is a big name, but the internships are not that enriching. You go somewhere like a local television station, it's a smaller name, you might not have heard of it, and the internship will be much more constructive, much more meaningful. So for our American students, we always want them to focus on the content of the internship and not just the name of the company. Sometimes they'll get an internship at a big name radio station and they're very excited. And what do? They take the papers and put them under the windshield wipers of the cars in the parking lot. And that's the internship? No, that's not a good internship. So it's more important to look at the job description, the training plan, and make sure it's really good. Okay. So the way we think of internships in the United States, it's not about getting coffee, it's not about making copies, it's a real pre-professional experience. It's what you do before you become a professional. Okay? It's an important way to gain experience, to actually have road test your skills and knowledge. Okay? And it's an opportunity to network. Have you heard about networking before?
Yes.
Okay. Why is networking important? Or what do you think you get out of networking? Yes?
All three of our team members here got their job through networking.
Ah, so it's who you know, because we hear that expression a lot. It's who you know, not to give you a job, but it's who you know who will tell you about jobs and opportunities. So you've had your internship in the United States, you make a number of contacts, you have your network of people you've worked with, your colleagues, your friends, you go back home. Maybe there's an opportunity there and you need someone from this country to come work for you. You would contact your network. Hey, maybe you would like to work for me, or maybe you know somebody. It's informal. It's not about giving someone a job, but it's a way of spreading information. Is everybody here on LinkedIn? Have you heard of LinkedIn? Okay, LinkedIn is like Facebook, but for professionals. And everyone should have a LinkedIn profile, talking about what you've studied in school, what your experience is, your interests. You don't put a picture of yourself with your dog or on a picnic. It's very professional, but it's a very good way to network. It's very important. Okay. And then internships also are a great way to learn business culture. You know, the way you act in school is different than the way you act at home, right? And that's different than the way you act with your friends. Well, it's also different than the way you act in the office. So to have an internship is a great way to learn office culture, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. And again, with an internship, you can make mistakes, and that's the whole idea. You learn from your mistakes. You learn from your experience. And of course, you gain skills that you don't get in school, because in school you're studying. That's very important. You're learning a lot, but the skills are things that you can only get through experience. Working with other people, collaboration, problem solving. These are things you get from your internship. Okay. So internship sites. How many of you have your internship sites so far? You have your placements? Nobody has a placement yet? No, I think you have some placements. Who knows where you're going to do your internship? Okay, there we go. So you know where you're going, and the other people, be patient. You're going to have a very good internship too. So what do we think about? Well, let's see. Some of the internships are at businesses, for-profit, places that make money. They have a product. They can be large or small. Is someone at Archetype Design Studio? Oh, congratulations. Very good. That's great. What will you be doing at Archetype Design Studio?
They said they're doing some kind of renovations in Upper West Side. And they also do some interior designs.
That's great. So that's your area, is interior design? That's wonderful. And how about Bird's Nest Foundation? Someone there? What will you be doing at Bird's Nest Foundation?
I guess I will
Helping to produce videos. Great. Sort of like our intern. Good. You have a networking connection already. A colleague. Very good. Well, the businesses, some people know the names. I'm familiar with Archetype Design Studio. It's very well known here. It might not be known in, I don't know, South Texas, but it's known here. The companies we work with are very well known within their own circles. They're very well respected, very well regarded, and they know how to work with interns. They're not just going to put you in a desk and leave you by yourself. They know how to work with you and mentor you. Let's see, nonprofits like Bird's Nest Foundation. Nonprofit organizations, they're just like regular businesses, except they don't keep the money they make. They do something with the money to help the greater good. So it could be a charity, it could be a foundation. See, I think we have International Rescue Committee. Who's doing their internship with International Rescue Committee? Ah, we have two. So what will you be doing on your internship?
Maybe I will help refugees to adapt to the community.
That's great. Wonderful. How about yourself? Same thing? Wonderful. Where will the refugees be from? Do you know?
Maybe Africa and Middle Asia.
Okay.
Also,
Okay. So that's not something that we make money off of. That's something we do to help our society, help our community. But the organization is just like a business. We have accountants, we have administrative staff, we have professionals. So it's just like a business, except they don't keep the money that comes in. Let's see, we also have, let me go back one, I apologize. We also have associations. Are you familiar with associations? A little bit. Associations are nonprofit organizations. They're not necessarily doing something for the community, but they represent a group of people with an interest. So, for example, we have the National Rifle Association. They're an association that promotes gun ownership, the ability to have guns and use guns. Then you have the Brady Foundation. They're an association that works to not have guns. So you have associations on both sides of issues, promoting different ideas. It could be on anything at all. And they also have their accountants. They have their graphic designers, just like a business. And what they do is try to promote a particular idea or point of view. We have a lot of associations in Washington, D.C. I think New York is probably the second largest area for associations. Okay. So then we have the government. Let's see. Is someone interning with the Borough of Manhattan? You are. What will you be doing with them? Oh, no, who? You, both of you? What will you be doing?
I'm not sure right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I will do research for them.
Okay, great. And how about yourself? Also doing research. Okay, so that's a government office, a local government office, but there's no bigger city than Manhattan. It's a pretty important city, so that's a very exciting opportunity to be able to work with the president of the borough. That's really great. So we have government offices, large and small, also just like businesses, running very efficiently, very effectively, very organized. And then we have universities that work in partnerships with private organizations, with nonprofit associations, and with government. Let's see, someone at Notre Dame of Maryland? Someone doing their internship there? Maybe not here today, but I know we have someone who's also at the university. So universities work with businesses. They're not just the people sitting in the classrooms. They also have offices and are doing a lot of other projects. And the other thing to remember is that maybe you want to go into business, or maybe you want to work with non-government organizations. Wherever your internship is, it's not necessarily for the rest of your life. So you have your internship maybe with the government, with the Borough of Manhattan. Maybe you don't want to be in government for the rest of your life. That's fine, but what you learn from this internship is going to be so valuable in any other area that you go into. Who's at the Bird's Nest Foundation? Okay, and you're doing video? Is media, or what will you be doing?
In there, I will help to
Produce videos, okay. So you can produce videos for nonprofits, you can produce videos for the government, you can produce videos for business. It can be in any of the different kinds of organizations that you want to work in the future. So you're not in one for the rest of your life. People go back and forth between these all the time. So how do we match you to your internship? Okay. Well, first of all, we want you to know that the companies are very, very carefully screened. They know how to work with interns. They're not going to just put you aside somewhere. They know that it's responsible for them to be mentors, to help you, to have a very nice training plan, to be able to have colleagues for you to work with, so they know what's involved. Okay? But we also know that everybody is different. Everybody's a little unique. So maybe 2 people, 3 people in here are doing accounting. You don't necessarily go to the same company. We really want to match the company with you, and that's important to know. As I said, the companies are very, very well regarded in their fields. You probably have heard of them, but if you haven't, that's because you're not necessarily in the field here. But we only work with the finest organizations. And as I said before, content is more important than the name recognition. So CNN is great to watch, but not necessarily very good to have your internship with. It would probably be better to have an internship with New York One. You'd have a more substantive internship. So that's important to remember. It's waving at you. So what do you have to do as an intern? It's not just all the organization. You know, we can't open up your head and pour the experience into you. So what do you need to do as an intern? What are your responsibilities? Study English. Okay, good. That's a good start. And you're doing that now. And it sounds like you're doing a very good job. Yes, having the right mindset. Yes, getting your mind ready to learn, being open. Very good. What else?
Just get a diverse experience by doing something.
That's great. Yes, be open to different experiences at the internship site. That's very good. Yeah, not just one thing, but be open to whatever you might be able to learn, the diverse experiences. That's great. Well, let's see what I have here. I have, first of all, communicate. It's very important to communicate with your supervisor and with your colleagues, not to be shy, and make sure you understand how they like to communicate. Sometimes people like to talk, sometimes people like email. It depends. So you can just talk to them. Sometimes they want an appointment, sometimes they just want you to come by. Find out what kind of communication your supervisor likes. Okay? Initiate. That's sort of what you're saying. Maybe you finished your tasks for the day and you still have an hour. It's important to then ask your supervisor, what else can I do to help you? And if the supervisor says, well, I don't really have anything else today, we'll have something tomorrow, talk to someone else, talk to one of your colleagues, talk to another department. I have an hour, what can I do to help? And that's another way to learn more, to have more diverse experience, and also to show how helpful you are, what a helpful person you can be. Respect. This isn't very difficult. Just be very respectful of your supervisors, of your colleagues, of yourself. Reflect. Now this is important, and you may not have thought of this very much. Does anybody keep a diary or a journal? Okay, that's a terrific way to learn, because every day at your internship, you're going to have a moment where you go, oh, think of that. Oh, that's really interesting. If you write it down, you're going to learn it a little bit better, and you'll be able to look over your journal later and say, look at what I got out of this internship. This is really something. You learn not only about your field, but you also learn a lot more about yourself. So if you get a chance to write things down, it's really great. If you don't like to write things down, at least take 5 minutes to think to yourself, okay, what did I learn today? Or what is one thing that I'm going to take away from the day? What was one moment that made me go, ah, okay. Just one little insight. And thank. It's always important to thank people. Thank people for helping you. Thank them for the opportunity. Thank you for anything at all. We just, Americans, sometimes we forget to say thank you. But it's really important. So if you have the opportunity, if it's appropriate, don't be shy. Go ahead and say thank you, especially at the end of your internship. That's very important. There are a lot of important things, aren't there? So the first day, you have the Boy Scouts, don't you? Okay, Boy Scouts. Okay, so you know what their motto is on top. Be prepared. Be prepared. So you're getting ready for your first day. And you're probably very nervous. Everybody's very nervous on their first day of work, on their first day of their internship, on the first day of school. So there are things you can do. You don't have to do all these things, but there are things you can do just to help you relax and feel better, okay? So the first thing, put your clothes out the night before. So you're not getting dressed in the morning and, oh my gosh, I have no socks or something like that. Go ahead, get your clothes laid out the night before. I had a little, well, anyway, we won't go there. Okay, directions. Know where you're supposed to go. Know where your office is. Know what door you go into. Know what floor you're on. And you should have all that information, but, take a look at it the day before just to feel a little calmer, right? Time. Know what time to go to work. Is it 9 o'clock, 9:30, 8:30? Wait, let me look at that email. So know the day before, okay? Paperwork, whatever documents you need to bring, have those ready the night before. Cash, have a little money ready. Don't be without any money, okay? Because you never know. You might need to get a candy bar, or you might need to take the bus. Something happens. Make sure you've got some money. Okay, and a snack, because you might be so excited you don't get a chance to go to lunch. So have a power bar or have some candy, whatever you need, whatever you like to eat. It can fit in your purse, or gentlemen, it can fit in your pocket. Have a little something to eat, because you don't want to get all lightheaded. Okay, fully charged cell phone, right? Don't forget to charge your cell phone the night before. Okay, a Tide pin. Anybody know what a Tide pin is? Okay, I have my visual aid right here. Okay, I like to eat a lot of Asian food, so I eat Korean food, I eat Chinese food, and I always get something on my shirt, okay? So the Tide pin, you get this at the grocery store, and you just rub it on the spot, and it goes away. Oh, it's great. And it's not the end of the world if you get something on your clothes, but you're just so embarrassed all day, and you don't want anybody to see you, right? So you have one of these with you. You just don't even have to worry. And that way, if you get something on you, it takes care of it. So that's, and I get no money from Tide, but I recommend it if you get a chance. And then finally for the ladies, clear nail polish, because if you're wearing pantyhose or stockings and you get a run, you put the nail polish on the run and then it stops and you don't have to worry. So you don't have to do all these things, but just to relax and be a little more comfortable on the first day. Okay, that's my advice. I'm sure you have other things that you could suggest. Okay. Then there's other things to do on the first day as well. You want to make sure you know what you're doing. You want to make sure you know your job duties. You want to make sure you know something about the company and you know something about your colleagues. It's nice if you can know this before you start. So you go on the website, you read about the company, you read about the people. Usually they have biographies on the website. If they don't, but you know the names of the people, you go to LinkedIn and you read about them on LinkedIn just to know a little something about them. I read about everybody that I was going to work with when I started here. And so when I met one of the people I work with, the first thing, his name is Dana, I said, oh, you went to the University of Hawaii also. I went to the University of Hawaii. How did you know I went to the University of Hawaii? I said, well, I read about it on LinkedIn. You read my LinkedIn profile? I said, well, yeah, I want to know about you and what your interests are. And he was very impressed, so it works. If you can look the people up, it's very helpful. Okay. Establish expectations. Your employer should tell you what is expected of you in your internship, what the goals are, what the behavior is, what the job is. You can also share with the employer what you're hoping to learn on your internship. Remind the employer what you'd like to get out of it, how you like to communicate, what your needs are. Okay? Focus. The first day, you're going to be thinking about all sorts of things. So, like I said before, have a good breakfast. You know, don't put your cell phone on vibrate. Don't leave your cell phone on so that you can focus on what it is that you're doing and pay attention, because it's going to be very exciting. And the better you can focus, the better you'll feel. Okay? And gosh, this is pretty simple. Be gracious. That's being polite. So we see that, say please, say thank you. I'm sure you do that, but it's just good advice. Okay? Be open to learning. That's what you were saying before. Just be open to whatever the experiences are. What you end up learning will probably not even be close to what you think you're going to learn. There's going to be so much that you're not expecting, and it's very exciting to think about what's possible. Smile. A smile goes a long way. My grandmother used to say it costs the same amount of money to be nice as it does to be nasty. So be nice. It's easy, you know, just smile. And finally, be humble, be helpful. Okay, as I said before, offer. Is there anything I can help you with? I'm finished today. Oh, you need help with that. What can I do? You know, just be gracious, be helpful. These are all just good kind of common sense things to know. Okay. And then while you're there, we already said this, be nice. I like this sign. It says, welcome to City, oh City, you look nice today. So somebody took the time to write that down. They didn't know who would look at it, but whoever looks at it gets a smile on their face and feels a little better. So it's nice to be nice. Say sorry. Now, don't apologize if you don't do anything wrong. That's not the issue. But you're going to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And it's a lot easier in the office if you say, oh my gosh, you know what? I made a mistake. This is what happened. Can you help me with this? And usually people will say, sure, no problem. Bosses like to know in advance if there's going to be a problem. Don't be shy, don't hide it, don't hope nobody finds out, because they're going to find out. So just go ahead and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I made this mistake. Besides, you're interns, it's expected. You're not supposed to be perfect. Nobody is perfect. So go ahead, be honest if you make a mistake. Okay? Listen carefully, but not just at your job. You want to listen when you're commuting back and forth to your internship. You'll hear all sorts of interesting things that will help you understand more about American culture. You know, listen in any interaction you have, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to a cultural event, when you see people talking in the park. You know, it's just very interesting to listen. It helps you improve your English and gain more and more insights to American culture. Okay? And when you leave, which is a long time from now, so maybe you won't remember this, but when you do leave your internship, you want to make sure you ask for feedback. It's always good to see how people see you. Maybe you don't know what you do well. It's nice to hear when somebody says, you know, you were really good at this. You should remember that. It's nice to know that. And nice to know what areas they think you could work on, you know, to improve on. Have at least one reference, you know, at least one person who can say what you did at the organization and can say that you did it well. Okay? Leave on the best of terms. You want to make sure you leave all your work finished and your workplace clean, and say goodbye and thank you to everyone at your internship, and then spread the word. Let people know about the company, that it was a terrific organization. Let them know about the Korea West program. Let them know about Cultural Vistas. Share what your experience was. And some people still have interviews, yes? You still have job interviews to go? These are just a few tips. When somebody says, tell me about yourself, they don't want you to say, well, I was born 20 years ago, I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers. They want to know about you as it relates to the job. Okay, so I went to school, I studied this, I have these skills, okay? Think about it in terms of what you can bring to the company, okay? Not in terms of what the company can do for you, but what can you do for the organization, okay? You read about the organization, you kind of get a sense of what they're trying to do. How can you help, okay? Then you think about what we call soft skills, okay? These are things like collaboration, problem solving, creativity. If you have soft skills like this, be sure to talk about them in the interview. Now, I'm a really good problem solver. When I was at school, I was working on a project with 4 other students, and we couldn't figure out how to do blah, blah, blah. And so I thought of this. You know, give an example of how you could solve a problem or come up with a creative solution. Ask very good questions, okay? When you have a job interview, it's important to ask about the organization. So you can ask questions like, what is a typical day like? Or what does the organization hope to accomplish this year? Or what is the organization most proud of? Or what is a challenge you want to address this year? You know, ask something about the organization. You can even ask the person talking to you, how did you get your job? And why do you like it? Now, that's a good question to ask. And then finally, I know that we write thank you notes to all of the organizations. In general, in the United States, after you've had an interview, you write a thank you note. It's just a nice way to kind of close things out and let them know you're interested. Well, thank you very much for your time. 감사합니다. Thank you for your time.